I thought I'd do a quick show and tell video for you today. So this beautiful old wooden box is a Colpin Magneto recharger for Ford and Fordson. Manufactured by the Magnetizer Manufacturing Company, Los Angeles, California. So why would you need a Magneto recharger? So this Fordson F tractor right here did not come with a battery. The ignition system runs off an internal magneto. And just like that 1914 Model T right there, it did not come with a battery either. The ignition system runs off an internal magneto. So what exactly is a magneto? For those who don't know, it's an ingenious but rather simple way to produce electricity. It's basically the same theoretical design as a generator. So if you need to ever recharge these magnets for the Magneto systems, it's pretty easy to recharge these magnets individually when they're out of the vehicles. When they're inside the engines, you can't get to them, you can't even see them. This unit here is a coil tester, but this is a good representation of what we would see if we were able to look inside the tractor or one of the Model Ts. This is the flywheel here. These are the feet of these magnets. There's 16 of these magnets all the way around, and that's the foot of each one of them. And there's tightly wound copper ribbon right there. And that's what generates electricity. So again, if you have them out of the engine, easy to recharge. But if they're still in the engine, you can't even see them. So the recharging process becomes a little bit trickier. So one of the more modern ways to do this when the Magneto is still inside the vehicle is to hook up three 12-volt batteries, provide 36 volts, and sort of shock the system. And I actually did an entire video on this very car on that entire process. That was pretty interesting. So that brings us back to this. This was a Magneto recharger for probably the teens and 20s and 30s. And remember, 12-volt batteries hadn't even been invented yet. They really didn't come into use until the 1950s. So as a result, it was a little bit more difficult for the average guy to recharge their Magneto system when it was still in the vehicle. Let's take a look inside. It's got blade switches, and it's got a magnometer. And of course, there's the instructions how to not kill yourself when you're using the product. This diagram here represents the top cover of the Model T transmission. I'm not going to read all the instructions to you, but in a nutshell, you connected an AC power source over here, and then the electricity would go down into these rectifiers underneath this cover. I'll show you those in just a second. Those rectifiers would convert the AC power to DC power. Somewhere on this side, you have the wires coming out over here, to shock your system and recharge your magnets inside the Magneto. Let me just point out a couple of these instructions that I find amusing. It says to charge, open and close 5 times rapidly. That's this right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. To clear shorts, leave closed 15 to 30 seconds. This one over here says close to start rectifier, but never leave this switch closed except when charging the Magneto. If we look at it from the side here, this must be the path of the electricity coming out of the rectifiers, is my guess. This is steel ribbon, basically. I don't know what gauge it is, but it's pretty thick. So we've got electricity flowing, and you've got very specific instructions with these switches. I think this looks like something straight out of a mad scientist's laboratory. And I think there's probably a half a dozen ways you could electrocute yourself using this old device. All right, let's take a look at these rectifiers. All right, down here we have 4 glass jars. I think each jar has 2 flat metal plates that run in the center. And these jars would be filled up with some sort of a chemical electrolyte solution. And in fact, you can see by this white powder that there's still a bunch of this chemical left over from God knows when it was last used. It looks like these glass jars are just standard, mason type jars with the lids that we're all familiar with. I did gently try to unscrew all 4 of them. My intent was to try to get one of them off so we could get a better look at these metal plates inside. But they're all stuck, and I don't want to force it because I don't want to break these jars. So we're just going to leave them all installed and intact. Here's a look inside the box. Nothing terribly interesting, just more of that white powdery chemical left over. One thing I found interesting is the price on this unit. Look at that, $57.50. So that makes me question if these were actually intended for the everyday guy. Because in the teens and the 20s and 30s, $57 was a lot of money. So I wonder if these were more intended for the dealerships and the auto shops. So there you have it, Ford and Fordson Colpin Magneto recharger. If you guys like this video, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments if there's an interest. I can post more of these show and tell type videos in the future. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. We'll see you on the next video.